Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. In today's podcast, I have an author with us, and I started a conversation a week ago with this author, and we're going to know more about her in a few minutes. She was a sales associate specialist at Macy's, a sales manager coach still at Macy's, then moved to have her own business called Use Your Voice, and she's a transformational coach. And we want to know more about Renee Reisch. So, hi, Renee. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Emma. Thank you so much for having me here on your show. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, so that's a very interesting path you had because you were at Macy's and you went from Macy's to a transformational coach. So, what happened at Macy's for you to make that transition? Because not everybody who works as a sales associate becomes a coach.
Well, actually, I was in management for over a decade. While I was there, I left it. It was a corporate role, and I was there for many years. So it wasn't just going from one thing to the next. It was over a quarter of a century that I was with the company. And the last 10 plus years, I was in management leading multi-million-dollar departments. But what happened during that time is I never took care of that girl looking back at me. And in the mirror, you don't really see the real you. You look at yourself and you see the physical, but there was a deeper seated thing going on. And it was in 2013 that I actually got so ill, I ended up in the emergency room twice. And I had no voice and was told I can no longer be with the public. So all that running around, taking care of everybody else and all the multi-million-dollar departments and the corporate initiatives that I was put in charge of, never taking care of that girl looking back at me, was my downfall and almost demise. Because in taking care of everybody else, never putting yourself first, which isn't selfish, it's selfless. Because you cannot take care of or lead anybody until you first lead yourself. And I made a big mistake in not doing that.
And I think a lot of people, we all do it at some point. And I think I don't know if it's more female related than females put everybody else's first and their needs first, and we're always last. And when we reach the list of taking care of me, then we don't have the time, the energy, nothing to do it. So we don't.
Exactly.
And that's a problem.
Happened. Yeah, it was a big problem because, I was people pleasing, fear of judgment, the limiting beliefs, all these things we hear about. I had that and didn't even realize it because I wanted so much to make sure that everybody was taken care of. But when you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of anybody else? And I don't mean physically. I was, always making sure I was working out, eating healthy. I was doing that, but I didn't really stop. I never stopped to enjoy life. I never stopped to really smell the roses. I never stopped to breathe. I lost my breath of life. And when you are told that you can no longer be with the public and we don't have a cure for you, they had nothing to help me with. I actually didn't want to live anymore. I had sores all over my vocal cords. And they drew about 20 vials of blood from me in about 3.5 months and said they couldn't help me. They couldn't find a cure. It was a virus that attacked my vocal cords. And as we know, at the time of this interview with COVID, a virus is something that you don't just say, here's a magic pill and, call me in 10 days, let's see how you do. A viral infection doesn't have an antibiotic. So they kept trying to peel back the layers of the onion in doing the blood work to find out what can we do for her. And they couldn't do anything. It was in losing my voice and being pulled away from the public. It was truly the beginning of finding myself and coming back home to me.
So what got you going? Because when you receive a news like that, it's pretty much devastating. And a lot of people would have gave it up and said, okay, I'm done. So what got you going? Because you need determination, you need the strength within you, and just not accepting what they're telling you. That's the most powerful things ever. It's like, no, it's not happening. It's not me. Next, I want something else.
100% right, Emma. And it really wasn't. I fell into a deep depression, to your point of like, what do you do? It wasn't just pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and go on. I really, excuse me, I'm going to grab my water as we're talking about taking care of yourself. It was really important to just be. And I really didn't know how. I have a best friend who's watching over me from heaven, who you and I have spoken about off camera. And if it wasn't for the grace of God putting her in my life, I don't think I'd be here talking with you or the audience today.
Well, that's good to have a support system as well, but you have to believe in yourself too, and not accepting what you've been told as well.
That's true. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't really believe in myself. And that was something she tried desperately to help me with, because you don't see yourself as others see you. And when someone that's so important to you doesn't give up on you, you start to not give up on yourself, because she was there for me. And pre-COVID, as I said, we're talking 2013 when this illness took place. And she would come to my house with a mask on, because again, it was pre-COVID. Nobody knew in 2013 what was to come all those years later. And 2020 is when it started. And she would deliver food that she made for me that she felt I could eat, and go to the store and bring Gatorade and applesauce, things she thought maybe I could swallow, because she knew I wasn't feeding myself. I wasn't taking, as I couldn't swallow my own saliva. I really was in a very bad way. You don't look forward to eating when you can't swallow, your own stuff. It's really difficult. And it wasn't something I looked forward to. Eating, drinking, it was just, the sores were extremely painful. I tried to get down whatever I could as far as protein or whatever I could try to muster down, because it was just not something I wanted to do. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be here anymore, be in this physical world, because it was too painful. And how did I get through it? Was when someone believes in you so much, even when you don't believe in yourself, and when you have the grace of God in your life. And I don't know what people believe in out there. And it's really, I just know there's a much stronger power greater than me. And when I didn't want to live, and I really didn't want to be here, and I kept showing up every time I wake up, I'm like, why am I still here? And I didn't know what was to come. And it's not dwelling on what was. I don't want to keep people in that was a low vibration, a low part in my life. But it was to tell you, everybody out there that's listening, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And I ended up writing a 4 times #1 best-selling book called Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, and Unleash Your Greatness. And whatever you think of what's going on right now in your life, no matter how bad things are, and I don't want to say, well, there's a reason it's happening. Well, nobody wants to, like, how would I know there's a reason? I kept thinking I was being punished. Like, what could I have done so horrible to be in such devastating pain that I felt like it was steak knives or razor blades that were in my throat? That's how bad, that's how much it hurt, to the point of, as I said, not wanting to even be here anymore. I couldn't see my family. I was not allowed to be with the public. I always felt like, people were to me like waters to a plant. It was like they feed my soul, and I was pulled away from that. And I'm not going to say it happened to me, but it happened for me. Because as I was taken out of life was a chance for me to resuscitate myself, to step back into life, and to serve others in a greater way with a stronger, more confident voice than I ever had before.
When you go through transformation, there's something people need to realize. It's not roses and bonbon and caviar. It's never like that.
Absolutely.
When you go through transformation, it's pretty much painful. It's like the butterfly in a cocoon. In order to do that, you have to break that chrysalis. And I'm sorry, if you're looking at the chrysalis, it's pretty a hard shell to break. And the butterfly has to find a way to break it. It cannot be helped because if you try to pull a thread, you will kill the butterfly. The butterfly has to do it on its own. And the experience we go through, even I love the fact that you said, why me? What did I do so wrong that I'm being punished? It has nothing to being punished. It's for you to be like the butterfly, to break that chrysalis, to become the phoenix, rising from your own ashes. You had to go through this in order to become and became who you are today. But those are not easy roads.
Oh no, and it's really interesting you say the butterfly, and oh my gosh, Emma, very apropos. I love monarch butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, hummingbirds, butterflies, and it's really it's part of what I do, quite frankly. I have something, it's the butterfly effect. I created a voice blueprint that's based on the butterfly effect for the exact reason that you say. And I take my clients through that process of finding their voice, going from vulnerability. It's an acronym, voice. It's a voice blueprint. We all have a blueprint in life. I created the voice blueprint from vulnerability to empowerment in the journey of finding their voice. And it is the butterfly effect because we come out in this world crawling as this infant, trying to figure things out. We crawl, we try to pull ourselves up, whether it's on a chair or even drapes, we're pulling ourselves up, or a person that we're trying to hold on to stand up, and we fall again. And then we go into this hard shell chrysalis stage as we are transforming and no longer just being, but becoming who we are meant to be. And it's a very uncomfortable stage. And each stage of the chrysalis will last a different amount of time. It's not like it's only 6 weeks or 8 weeks. It's different for each person because that's what life is. How long is this part of my life going to last? I don't know. I can't tell anybody, but I do know that I created this because I helped them transform their life in the journey of finding their voice. And that is what's important, to go from vulnerability to empowerment. And that I do in a matter of 12 weeks. It's not an overnight thing.
No,
but the
it takes
chrysalis
time.
stage of that does last differently for each person I work with. It's not cut and dry because life is not cut and dry.
Exactly. It takes time to do things, and changes doesn't happen overnight. It takes
Absolutely.
30 days to, and has been proven to about 28 to 30 days to change your own pattern. So, when people are excited and they want to make changes, they want the instant gratification. That's not the case. So, 100%. We have to be honest with our own self. And I like the fact that this inspired you, actually, when you found your voice back, this inspired you to change the course where you were, to move, what I call it, to the next level.
Absolutely. And I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize what was happening as it was happening. I just knew when I found out, there was a point where doctors didn't know if I would speak again. When I was sent to a specialist, I never thought that was it. I knew I had a horrible sore throat, like I've never experienced. And it was, as I said, it turned out it was a virus that was, in my vocal, attack my vocal cords. So imagine your vocal cords being riddled with sores. I mean, it's like an open wound. Note to those watching or listening, do not put honey on it. I kept thinking, honey, I love honey. That would be like, I kept thinking like that Pepto-Bismol commercial like years ago. It would coat it, it would soothe it. And I took this heaping spoon of honey thinking, oh, it feels so good. And I swallowed it and I was ready to shoot through the roof. It was like literally pouring salt into an open sore. It was insane because they were sores and they were open sores. And when you put sugar onto it, it was like lighting a match to your, in my case, it was my throat.
Yes.
And I literally, the pain that I thought was excruciating before, and I thought it was 10x of anything I had.
Yeah.
I just tripled that pain.
Oh my God.
Eyes welled up, my face turned red. I was just I thought it was horrific before that happened. It was just intense beyond words. Yeah, it was intense. So don't ever do that, because it's not a regular sore throat where you have tea and honey and chicken noodle soup. No, this was an actual open, many sores. I remember in the urgent care before I got to the ER, it started out as this one sore, and then I had to go back to the urgent care, and I said, how many are there? And she had told my best friend who was with me at the time, she goes, you got to get her to the ER now. And that's where I ended up. And it was just something that was extreme pain. And I didn't understand how I got it, why I got it. What I found out when I, finally they were telling me, they said it had to be that my immune system was compromised, because I was burning the candle at both ends. It was a Christmas season in retail. If anybody's been to a mall during the Christmas season in retail, we're open early, we're open late. Well, I was working both kinds of shifts, and I was also in management, which means you're not punching a clock.
Nope.
It's not 8 to 5 or 9.
Nope.
I mean, it was, you come in and you leave when you're done, and you're almost really never done. Nope. So I would go home, and if I was working an early shift, I would stay up late and work on schedules. I was always doing extra because I wanted to be on the sales floor with my people, coaching them and developing them and being there by their side and being with customers. And, no one had a gun in my head to do any of these things. It was, I was so driven that I almost drove myself 6 feet under. And there's a point of, to be successful, you don't have to kill yourself. And I was really doing anything, I remember telling my best friend, no, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to. I was like running. And then there was, again, a power greater than me that said, I'm putting the kibosh on this one.
Exactly. Your body say enough is enough.
The brakes, I was like to a screeching halt.
Yep.
If you ever heard tires screech on a road, mine came to a screeching halt. And it wasn't by my will, but the will of a greater, when you say God, source, universe.
Your spirit. Just enough is enough.
It just went, I'm done. Because this girl's got something greater she's supposed to do, and she can't achieve it.
And not only this, but you had to stop because your body was being basically used and abused without realizing it. And that's what people don't realize, because I've been in corporate. I have been in a corporate for many years, and I have done the same thing you've done. It's like 8 to 5 doesn't exist. Even you're exempt or non-exempt, actually, because when you have to meet a deadline, you meet the deadline. Yes. No matter if you have to be up until 2 o'clock in the morning and the next day at 7, ready to go, doesn't matter. But the self-care become nothing next to it. And that's the problem. And for years, I have done that until I hit the wall, until my immune system, my body said, no more, we're shutting down. Then you want it or not, your brain said, no, let's go. The body's like, no. We're done. The adrenal are depleted. Have a nice day, Matt. Deal with the consequences.
Yeah, the shop was closed.
Yes.
And I didn't know things. I didn't know when it was going to be open again. I didn't know, because I was on an LOA at that time. To me, it was, leave of absence. Now LOA to me is law of attraction. It has a different meaning as I've come through into a different way. It's not the same thing at all. And as I said, it was losing my voice to find my voice. And that is a metaphor for really finding me and what my purpose is in this world and who I'm really meant to serve. And I post quotes, my own quotes every day on social media. And today it was about leadership. And I said, you can't lead others until you first lead yourself. And it's really true. You have to have that growth mindset and not be so consumed with pleasing everybody else and being a people pleaser and an empath. It was difficult for me to come through to this other side and learn to really take care of myself first so I can take care of others. It's a selfless act. So you can be more, be more present for others. You can't be there for anybody if you're not there for you. You have to take care of yourself. You have to be mindful of your thoughts. You have to be mindful of your actions and your behaviors.
So and your body.
And your body, everything.
And your body, because we only have one bodies. And I think people realize that, we're expecting we're going to be switching from bodies. It's like, no, you have one body. And guess what? You need to nurture it. And we, when we're younger, don't nurture it because who cares. But our bodies make us pay this later on too. So we have to be respectful and mindful of our body. We can go extreme on what we want to do, but we need to give the rest. We need to nurture it because we only have one.
Absolutely true, Emma. And I didn't take care of it. I didn't take care of myself. As I said, was so like, oh, don't worry about me. Like and it wasn't trying to be a martyr. It was like I had things I needed to do. I was given responsibilities. And in that light, I was so focused with blinders that like I said, I have to do this. I have to do that. This is due. This is done, and I was like running this marathon that there was never a finish line for me. I was just going to go, 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 go. And then I was just, as I said, brought to a screeching halt where I didn't have a choice. I say we have choices in life. At that point, I didn't have one. And I'm glad I didn't have one because I needed to stop. And I wasn't listening to my best friend, God bless her. She's watching over me from heaven. And she used to yell at me with some pretty explicit language.
Strong words.
Very strong words, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Very strong words. And I said, no, I have to do, like I said, I just kept, and I didn't listen to her. And she wasn't telling me to stop and slow down because she needed me to do anything for her. She saw it like outside, outsiders can see. She saw from an observer, point of view.
Yep.
Of what was happening in the road I was traveling.
Yep.
And she said, slow down. Really strong in a strong tone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I no. I was like,
she saw the freight train. You did not. Like most of us will not see the freight train coming because we're ignoring it. We don't want to see it because if we're seeing it, say, well, what am I supposed to do? Because I'm supposed to do this and this, and I have to do this and this.
Yes.
And it's like, it's a choice. You have to learn to slow down. And if you don't, then your body is going to give you a very brutal wake up.
It was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying so desperately. And I just didn't listen. I heard her, but I didn't listen to her.
Yeah.
I could hear people. I heard her words. I knew she loved me. I knew she cared about me. But I said, no, I can't because I have to do this and all these things. And how am I going to do that if I slow down? It can't get done. Well, how am I going to do it if I don't take care of me? And I'm not going to even be there because I'll be in 6 feet under and nobody's going to be taken care of. As it turns out, that 25-year career is the one that released me. 2017, I was released. And I say released because it was a release for me.
Mm-hmm.
One that I didn't understand or realize because I was like, oh my gosh, how could they let me go? Everything I did for them, the blood, the sweat, the tears, literally, physically.
You count to nothing.
All those things. Well, we're all replaceable,
mm-hmm.
In a job, but we're not replaceable in our life.
Yep.
And she was trying to save me from myself, for myself. And then I was released in 2017 in February. I'm going to say the word transition. My best friend transitioned in July of 2017 after I was released from that 25-year corporate job. And she saw me already on the path to finding myself and finding my own voice. And she is now watching over me from heaven as a beautiful angel. She was always a bright light in my life when she was here in the physical world. And now she's an even brighter one, if that was possible, in the spiritual world, because I know she's watching over me, because I know she's here. I feel her. I hear her voice in another way now. And I'm grateful for that.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So 2017 arrived. So what happened when you walked away or got a release from corporate? So what was your step? What did you decide to do? Did you take a break and say, okay, I'm going to take some time out for myself? Or what did you do?
I wish I could tell you I did that. I actually got depressed. So my big depressions were when I lost my voice and I was isolated and they didn't have a cure for me. That was a really dark time. And then it happened again because I had given so much to this company. And 25 years, I thought this was my life, right? I made that my life.
Yeah.
I allowed it to define who I was rather than
Mhm.
what I did.
Yep.
And I'm going to repeat that because I don't think a
Yep.
lot of people out there, I want them to hear it. It was what I did, not who I was. And I allowed it to make it who I was. It's not the same thing. And our jobs are just that, they're jobs. The thing is, we're all CEOs of our own life and we have choices sometimes. Most of the time we have a choice. In my case, I was pulled out of life because I didn't have a choice. I was told you can't be with the public. It's not like I could say, well, I'm going to go anyway. I was told you can no longer be in public with the public. So that wasn't a choice I had. I was not allowed out because I was so contagious. It wasn't just that I didn't have a voice. I had a virus going on in my body that was highly contagious, where I was not allowed to be with the public. So that was that first time I got really down in a dark place. And then when I was released, after 25 years, and I'm going to say I wasn't happy prior to being released. I wasn't happy in the role I was in. But I also didn't know what I would do if I was, because I had done it for so long. Then again, I was released and didn't have that. Well, it's a choice and I'm leaving. No, they they cut the cord, right? They cut the cord. And then I was like, what am I going to do now? Who's going to want me? I didn't even want me. I didn't even want to be around because I'm like, now what? And it took a long time for me to come back to me again because I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't even say anything. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I had to find myself once again because I found myself in the dark place again. And something I want to go back to because people might be wondering, how did she get her voice back? We didn't really touch on that. When I was told I may never speak again, and I was in that dark place, it was being quiet because I didn't have a choice. And then when I was sent to a specialist and they found that it wasn't permanent damage, I was sent to a vocal coach. I'll never forget, her name was Michelle. And she gave me exercises. And one of them was to look in the mirror. We're talking about this mirror work. I'm like, are you kidding? And to do vocal exercises it was tongue thrusts. It was trying to strengthen what wasn't there. And I didn't have a voice to just start looking in the mirror and start doing exercise. It was very painful. It was like crawling from a dark hole up a rope when you see that light and you can't reach it and you have to again and again and again, just different exercises. But once I found out that it wasn't going to be permanent, I was like Googling, what do you do to train, to make them stronger? Everything under the sun to add on to the vocal exercises that she gave me. I kept doing everything I could to get that back. It's like a muscle. Like when you don't use them, they atrophy. Well, your vocal cords are a muscle. And if you take a rubber and you just stretch it, it snaps. When you warm it up and then you slowly stretch it, you get more life out of it. And that's what your vocal cords are. It's like this rubber band and they reverberate off of each other to make a noise. And that's what I was able to strengthen all over again, that muscle. And so when I was released from that corporate America job, I had to train that muscle of life this time around because I had a voice. I just didn't know how to use it anymore because I had used it in this corporate role. And it was going within once again, almost going back to that chrysalis stage to say, now who am I? Now what's my role in life? And interestingly enough, I tried, I'm going to say the word tried, to go back to retail. Like I could do this with my eyes closed. I did it for 25 years. I'll just go to another marquee on the building, another name on a building. I could do whatever it is. Doesn't matter. I've done it. I got, awards for being number one in the district, the region, the company, and the country, leading teams, leading, company initiatives, running rallies for the store. I could do any, whatever role. It doesn't matter what the marquee says, whatever company name it is, I can do it. Well, I tried to. When I say I tried to, I actually applied there. And I went in and I spoke to the people I was interviewing with. And they said, why do you want to work here? Look at all the achievements you've accomplished in these other roles within your corporate job. I said, okay, well, why do you want to work here then? You've already accomplished all these things. I'm like, oh my God. They didn't hire me. I couldn't get a job in the thing I had done so well at, because I had done so well and I had a management role and I was working my way up the corporate ladder. I'm like, oh no. I was like, you've got to be kidding. This is what I thought I could go back to, like that. Well, there's this big power above that I was telling you about that was probably looking down, laughing. Are you out of your cotton picking head? Why do you think you were pulled out of it? Not once, but twice. The first time in 2013, when you had this illness, it wasn't so you can go back. It was to say, okay, maybe there's something more for me. Not to go back to that same behavior, but you did.
But it's a reflex. Everybody will do that. Only few will realize, oh my God, this is an opportunity. Not everybody, when you're ending a work is ending, regardless if, like in your case, it was extreme because you had to involve viruses and other things. But when something ends, then it's an opportunity to look back. And I know it's very difficult to say that because everybody goes in a panic mode, and who doesn't go in a panic mode? But it's very interesting to see that we can, one way or the other, being able to just say, okay, I have an opportunity. What do I really want to do? And a lot of people don't ask that question.
Well, the thing is, Emma, that's all I knew, 25 years. And probably over 30 years in the corporate role, maybe even 30, probably 35, 25 with that one company. But that wasn't my first role. I mean, I was in, other companies. So I had been in corporate America. This was all I knew was corporate. I didn't know what entrepreneurship was about. I didn't know what running your own company would be like. I didn't think about it. That's what it's like you go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, and you go into the corporate world. That's what I knew of. That's what my dad did. That's what I saw other people doing. I didn't know from anything else. And then I started going out to events that my friend, a really dear friend of mine, Tamara Hunter, she lived in San Diego area. And I lived in Orange County, and we had met at one event. And then she kept asking me to go to events because a lot of them were LA and she had to pass my way. She's, we're going to an event. I'm like, where are we going? She goes, doesn't matter. It was like, Thelma and Louise, you like get in the car, like the co-pilot, and we were always traveling together. And so we went to all these events and I met more and more people. And that's what I was doing for a long time. And then I'm like, I found that these people were more of my people. They were the entrepreneurs. They were the ones that were more heart-centered. That wasn't where I came from in corporate America at all. And the more people I was around that were more like-hearted, I'm not gonna say like-minded, like-hearted. It's like, this is kind of cool. These are my people. This is my tribe. And I was meeting more and more people. Like, then they would invite me to events. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. There's more events and this. And I was going and meeting. And I'm a connector, as you know, and I love meeting people. And I just really feel I'm also an empath. So I was finding more and more people that were like me, and just finding, I'm also a sponge. I love to learn. And the more I realized I was learning, the more I was able to share with others, because I don't want to just take the knowledge and hold it for myself, because what good is that? I wanted to share it with others. So in this voice blueprint I created, that's part of the journey in helping serve and give back and give to others in a way that they need to find their own voice, where they have lost it, whether it's in their corporate role or in their marriage, in a relationship, or the relationship with themselves, that they have lost their voice metaphorically. They didn't have to lose it physically like I did. I would wish that on a worst enemy if I had one. But where in their life have they lost their voice, where they haven't been able to speak up? Because I didn't speak up in my corporate role. I could speak up for other people, yeah, but I never spoke up for me. I didn't want to, go against the status quo. God help if I said something that was not what, the company wanted, or the direction, or anything that wasn't what people were accepting. I didn't go that route. I had to go with what I knew people were going to accept. And I always wanted to make sure they were happy with me. I didn't want to challenge the status quo at any cost, because I wanted to be liked, because to me, that was also a form of love and acceptance and value. I was looking for outside validation for inner self-worth. So I would work myself to the bone and do whatever it took to get that award or to get that number one. And my best friend used to say, I don't need a piece of paper to tell me that I'm good enough. I know that.
Exactly. You give away your powers, actually. So
I
that's
did.
how you're losing your voice. You're losing who you
Yes.
truly are. It's by
Yes.
without realizing it. And a lot of people are doing it, validation, even young girls, young teenage girls, young kids, even boys who want a validation, to want to be seen from their parents, will look for validation, which is quite sad in one way, because as they go into their adulthood, then this will play a lot in their lives, and they need to learn, find your voice, take those pieces that is scattered in the world, bring them back to you to be whole again.
Absolutely. People want to be seen, heard, and felt. And when you're not, and you want to have that love or that acceptance, you kind of retreat back into that chrysalis stage, in that hard shell. And outside, you've got this beautiful smile, like everything is fine. And inside, you're like this withering, dying flower. And like, people don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Well, it's interesting, as we do this interview in 2022, people are still wearing this mask. What about the mask that you've been wearing all your life? What about the mask that's always been there that you haven't let go of? Because you're looking for that validation. You're looking for that love.
I think that too. And I think people are afraid if they show their vulnerability or who they truly are, people are not going to like them at all. And that's so wrong.
What happens if I show my true self?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if Emma doesn't like me? What happens if this person doesn't, that I'm not accepted? Well, you know what I'm going to say to those people? And those are not your people.
Exactly.
Then guess what? You get to make room for the people who are your people.
Exactly.
It's like house cleaning. It's like spring cleaning. You get rid of clothes you no longer wear. You empty your wardrobe and you go shopping because you made room for new. You empty your drawers and you make room. You allow space and give yourself grace to let those people into your life, those that you are able to welcome in, because you've made room. You've cleared the path for those to come in. And that's with love, to have that relationship. That's with success in your life. You've cleared the path to open it up for yourself. You've cleared that whole way to allow the right people and circumstances to enter your life for you to thrive in your life, in business and in romance and in every way.
And I so agree with you on that. And you should have been yesterday on Clubhouse with us on the quilting club, because that's exactly the topic I talked about yesterday, because I was the moderator and I was to do the cleanup. You have to clean up your own life. You have to clean up your own backyard. You have to clean up your field of dreams. And I think we went into a topic that was a little deeper than that, because it was related to family as well. Because a lot of people will clean up everybody except the family. And I'm like, your family is the same way. So if it's too toxic, clean it up, walk away. And you create your own family. It's not the one you're born, but the one you decide to create is the one you want to decide. It doesn't have to be blood related. But it is so, it's so important, I think, for people to realize that, you're not going to get along with everybody, including in your family, because I have not known one person who doesn't have something with their family, somebody that they always be in conflict. I'm like, maybe it's time to cut the ties. It's okay.
So true. And what I'm going to say to that, and I actually spoke about this, I run a Facebook group, as you know, and it's literally, I've spoken about family, friends like family. And that is so important, because your own blood relatives you may be at odds with them. You're like, well, what am I
Yes,
supposed to do? How am I supposed to, cut the ties with them? I'm not telling people to cut the ties with your family, but don't spend as much time with them.
exactly.
Yes, if it's a family reunion or you're getting together with family,
And don't engage.
and don't engage, don't play in the sandbox. Yes.
Exactly.
If you hear something, it's like, okay, be the observer. Don't get in that sandbox. Don't play with them. Because if you don't respond, well, if you don't react, I'll say the weird react versus response. I've spoken about that in my group too. If you don't initiate, that reaction from what they're saying and you go, boom, it's like a knee jerk. If you don't do that knee jerk reaction, it gives you time to respond to what they said. And so, okay, I'm not going there. If you don't react to them, they can't respond back and they can't react to you. And you can't have that friction that you always have.
They're going to try to poke at you, but if you don't respond, you become like the water, very calm. Then they're going to look like, okay, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with him? He's not responding.
No.
Well, no, you don't have to respond. It's how you react. It's hard sometimes to keep
It
our
is.
jaw locked.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I used to do that actually when my mom was trying to pick fight with me. I would not respond. I would ignore her. That turned her out. And after 5 minutes, she walked away even more furious, but I could care less. I'm like, I'm not responding to this because I don't care. I'm going to ignore you. Do the same thing.
Yeah, it's not right, because you could probably break your tooth clenching your jaw.
Yes,
like,
that's what I do.
Then go for a walk. Don't get in a car. Don't get in a car because that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But go for a walk. Go for a jog. Get out in nature. Just distance yourself from that person that is just grating on you. It is. I mean, it is not good. It is just not a good thing to do. You've got to walk away. Don't engage, as you said. Don't be a part of that conversation. You got to walk away. When you walk away, it's not being a coward. It's not being like,
No.
oh, you can't face it. No.
See,
you're not.
That's what people don't understand. I love when you touch this point, thinking that, oh, you're too weak. You don't want to enter. I choose and I pick and choose my battles. Those are the kind of battles. This is a waste of energy in my book. Forget it. It's not worth it. All right. Pick and choose your battles. And I learned it. I'm watching my parents tearing each other apart. I'm like, yeah, that isn't worth it. Do the same thing. And there is no sign of weaknesses or anything like that. I would rather have somebody by my side who pick and choose their battles than somebody that go on every single fight ever. It's like, oh my God, I'm tired to watch you doing it. You're wasting your time.
It's exhausting.
Yes,
it's exhausting to engage in it.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to be a part of it. And I go, what do you do? What do you say when this person says that and they instigate you? Yeah. You walk away. They say, what's the matter? They start, no. You know what? I don't care to engage in this. Yeah. That's it. Walk away. You are the bigger person, not like you're not being weak and like, oh, you don't want to face this. You're like, no,
after a while, they're going to get bored.
Play the sandbox.
Exactly. After a while, if you don't respond anymore, they're going to go and pick on somebody else's because they're going to realize it doesn't work. So they're going to go away. Once in a while, they will peek again to poke at the bear to see if that works. But after a while, they will disengage and that would be it.
Right. They're going to realize I can no longer do this with her or him or whoever. Yeah. I used to be able to get to that person, but no, because they're not going to change. They're going to try to find another prey.
Exactly.
Who's my next prey?
Exactly.
Who can I do this with next? Because they're, and the thing is, because that's part of their journey. They've got this anger or bitterness in them that they just want to hurt people, hurt people. We hear this all the time.
Yep.
Empower people, empower people. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference. So I'm here to empower people, inspire people, and uplift them and encourage them along their journey in life. And I want to share this with the book. Here's a book that
I was ready to talk about that book actually now. It's that you went ahead of me on this on my dear Renee. She's like, Renee's like on a row. It's awesome. So on your story and where you are today, you decided to write a book.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit more about the book?
Sure. It'd be my pleasure. What I was about to talk about right now with it is that in the book, I have what's called takeaway sections. And I pose questions to the reader. Here it is.
Nice.
Because it becomes an evergreen journal.
Nice.
So, and I leave I leave literally like 3 to 4 line pages for you to write your answers in that journey of finding your voice, because it's not about me and what I've been through. That's the story. That's my story. Yes. But how does what I went through affect you and your own journey of finding your voice? So I pose the questions after each chapter based on what you just read, you will see the question. And then I give you the 3 to 4 pages because maybe you take up a quarter of it. Maybe you take up the whole thing, whatever. It doesn't matter because I want you to date them. So on August 2nd, at the time of this interview, 2022, how did you respond? Okay. So then you can look at that. Then maybe it's 3 months later. Maybe it's a week later. Maybe it's a month later. Maybe it's 6 months later. How would you respond again? There's a gal I met on a Zoom. Again, I connect a lot. And I didn't even know her. She comes off of me. She goes, oh my God, I have your book. I said, you just, somebody recommended it to me. She said, I have so many books, Renee. Yours is on my nightstand next to my bed. And I do an exercise every single night. And I cannot tell you how much it has helped me in finding my own voice. I didn't know this girl from anybody, never met her, never saw her in my life. The fact that she said she's got so many books, but mine is the one she chose to leave there because I do one of those exercises each night because it's helping me. It's a reflection of what she's been through, what happened in her day or an interaction with somebody. And she's just really utilizing it as that tool in which it was given for that purpose to go back to and see, how did I respond on August 2nd, 2022? How would I respond on August 31st? Or how would I respond in a month? Because you know the exercises are there. And it's really something that you can put your voice to and help you in the journey of finding your voice to unlock your chains and unleash your greatness. The reason I titled this is finding is something that we're always doing. We're always evolving. You're always finding it in a different way. But unlock your chains and unleash your greatness. It was the chains I was bound up in, my own chains that kept me locked up for my own voice.
Yep.
And I believe this is true with everybody out there.
Absolutely.
Stop ourselves from speaking our truth. Whether you're gay or straight or tall or short or fat.
It doesn't matter who you are.
It doesn't matter. What matters is the chains that you bind yourself on. And you wind yourself up in this story of not good enough, of people pleasing, of looking for that outside validation for the inner self-worth. All of these things I did. So I know where you're standing. Our stories may not be exactly the same, but I know from where you come from because I've been in those shoes and I understand that pain all too well, physically, emotionally, and mentally. On so many levels.
Now the question I have is, because we're at the top of the hour and we have few minutes, but I want to know how people can get a hold of you. I know I'm going to have it into the description of the episodes, but I want people to hear from your voice as well. One, where they can get the book, because your book looks beautiful. And I know we can get it on Amazon and on a paper copies too. Real copies. I like that.
Yes. Yes. So there's also something that I recently did that I'd like to announce to the viewers. I just 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, today we're recording this is on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. So Wednesday, July 20th, I released my audio version of Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, and Unleash Your Greatness. That to me was a blessing. And it will always be a blessing. Because when you are told, laying in an ER on a gurney, that this might be permanent damage, you may never speak again. To be able to give voice, my own voice, to an audio book that I created, and to be able to tell my story on the audio version is a blessing. So I am very grateful for that. So I will give you the links. So they are in the description. I am on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, it's at Reisch Renee. It's my last name and my first name. So REISCH and then RENE. Facebook is my first name and last name.
Your group, you said, sorry to interrupt you. You said you have a group on Facebook.
I do. So you know what I'm going to do? Absolutely. So Emma, if they go to my link tree, that's going to be the easiest because all of my links are there. My Facebook group there, and my Facebook group link is there.
Yep.
The audio version of my book is there. They can, and actually the audio version is great because they don't have to download Audible. It's not on Audible. It's an audio platform where they don't have to download a link for Audible.
Nice.
Or,
Yep.
Yeah, or they don't have to invest in anything like go on a platform. They can just get it straight from the link.
Nice.
And there's also a free first chapter on there too.
Oh my God.
That's awesome. On it that I'm going to give to your readers. And also on my link tree, there's a free 10-step download to finding your voice. So I have some freebies on there for your audience.
So on Linktree.
Yeah. So the Linktree will have them all, and I welcome them to do that, to connect with me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn. So all of those, instead of saying, where am I going to find her? just go to my Linktree and you will see the platforms, and then you can join my Facebook group too. Get the audio version, and the paperback is so worth it. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And if anybody wants, I'm going to put this out there, an autographed copy, then they're going to need to private message me on either Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
And let them know that they saw me on this show or on Instagram, and just again tell me that.
Sure.
And then I can, they'll have to message me the information. I'll respond to them, and we can see how they want that done. If in fact they want an autograph copy, we can work out the details of that. But otherwise, the book itself is on Amazon, but if they want a personalized message, they can still do that. They can get on Amazon. I have a way that I'm going to get them a personalized message. We can do that.
That is wonderful.
So
I absolutely love it. So every details then you talked about, because I will make sure we got the Linktree linked, but also I will make sure I got the Facebook, Instagram, everywhere I can find you, in LinkedIn. It will be into the description of this episode so people can connect with you. And also for the book, I will add something in regards of the book as well. And it is worth it. So
it's an evergreen tool. It's an evergreen tool for them to use.
Exactly. This is what I love what you did with the book. It is not only a book, but you do your homework. Yes. And you go back, like you said, you can go back 6 months afterwards and ask the same question and see what the result's going to be without even looking at what you wrote it first and compare, and you will see the changes. That's what it's amazing.
Thank you, Emma. I'm going to say really quickly, because we as human beings, we never give ourselves enough credit from how far we've come along this journey in life. We just are quick to say, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. But when you can actually look back and see how far you've truly come in your journey, from the first time you answered the question to the point you answered again, you can really give yourself the credit of how far you've come. And I'm grateful to be able to share my voice in this way. So thank you so much for allowing me to share our voices together on your podcast. I'm so
you are welcome, Renee. Last question for you. Are you going to write a follow-up book?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Good. So we'll keep in touch with you, and you will be back on my podcast probably before year end to see how you're doing, where you are, and you might already have started that second book. Who knows? So,
and I would love people to connect with me if they're ready to go on that journey of finding their voice, to be part of the blueprint that I created.
Yes.
Message me. Let me know you are ready, and we will connect and see what that looks like to work together, because I created that voice blueprint for those people out there who are really needing to go on that journey and wanting to share that journey, because I walk you through. It's not a DIY. I feel if we could have done it ourselves in life, we would have. I am here for you along this journey. And that's why I created the voice blueprint. So join me along that journey, and I will be happy to partner with you as well. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Renee. Have a beautiful and a blessed rest of the day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Emma's Universe Podcast.